on now, Jaden.
No further.
Poor guy.
The World Wide Web. Ooh. Yes, we're gonna sing.
Can I get this connected here? For pictures? Do you know how this works? That's not the only one, USB. Right, I'm an USB.
Yeah, I know it should have.
Oh,
About that one.
What's the number even? 792 or 3, right in there somewhere.
Why we make that
I
work?
don't know. Looks like it should be.
That's what it was.
Which one, Linda?
It looks like 92.
Yeah.
Oh, so it detected it on A. So I have to-
Some options for me.
No.
Enter.
Otherwise, how do you do that to your cast or to the
Chromecast or Hexen.
operating?
You weren't expecting that.
What entertains people, I say.
So, was it Pit Sanctuary? What were you guys laughing about? Behind my back.
You're doing back there.
What did you say?
Oh, 792.
792. Since you're all there, could have had it sung by now.
Yeah,
For all these things.
that one.
From a mountain and mountain skies, your breath is clearly seen. We cast our praise with nature's cry, with thanks for all these things. For promises from age to age that cause our hearts to pray. Creation we impart, with thanks for all these things. From ransom and of tender heart, whose souls we love to sing. Your children lift their voice to you, with thanks for all these things. For refuge from the darkening storm, and mercy in your wings. We worship you with grateful hearts, O God for all His saints. We honor your presence, Lord. We praise you, God, in vain. We consecrate our lives to you. Give thanks for all these things. 793, For the Beauty of the Earth. For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the wonders of our earth, over and around the skies, for your praise, is our gift of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, live and reign and free and flower, sun and moon and for the multitude praise is our gift of grateful praise. For the joy of giving love, Father, cease to clear and shine. Friends on earth and friends above, for all Gentiles and men, for the multitude grace is our gift of grateful praise. For thy church has evermore, in their body offering on every shore, for your sacrifice of love, for all to praise, it's our gift of grateful praise. For thy softness divine, to your grace freely given. For that great love of thine, peace of heart and joy in heaven. For the ways is our gift of grateful praise. Next page, what do we have? Let all things now living. Oh. Let all things now living outside the thanksgiving. God be praised, triumph and be praised. Who fashioned the rainbows, protected and saved us, who still guides of our days. God's factors goes before us, a pillar of fire shining in the night. Till shadows have vanished, and darkness is vanished. As for good we travel from light unto light. It's already voices, the stars in their courses, bright sun giving torment, obey as we shine. The hills and the I need someone from the Welch household who has the latest bit of news on their mother to explain that to us.
I think mostly all we heard, I think she will be discharged tomorrow. They're gonna watch her on this medication, they will keep her on long term over the night. And then I think she'll have to go in for a follow-up sometime shortly to see what next steps need to be taken for the long term. It is all that. Nothing super major, but I think she does need to come home tomorrow.
So she's been stable
Yeah.
today.
I think she's been stable since 6 this morning.
Okay, good.
I got a text message that they're playing Scrabble. My dad said this is our hospitals, usually the best, worst, and most expensive of our days. So I'm not really sure what that means, but
Who was winning?
I don't know. But the doctor, so. When I texted her, she said she was glad to be alive and God was good to her.
Good. Okay. And announcements. Can't do any worse than I did this morning. August 1st, a business meeting.
Next week, my family's on vacation.
With the lunch. An afternoon meeting. You're on vacation August 8th. It's actually leaving the 2nd through the 9th. This is vacation, so. The end of the month, there's a missionary, August 29th. Oh, yes, the 22nd, is that what that meant? At Living Water Farms in August. End of the school year and, end of summer, beginning of the school year. Get together, fun time at Living Water Farms in the afternoon.
We have a campus camp this week.
Next week. Next week is senior high camp at Clear Lake and Evelyn and Bethany and Audrey, I think, are all going from local that we know. Anything else? For announcements? You got anything figured out?
As good as I'm gonna get.
Well, we're gonna sing another song, because we are so blessed. 795.
Wow, this looks like it goes everywhere.
Yeah, a little different rhythm there, isn't it? Are so blessed by the gifts from your hand. I just can't understand how you brought us we are so blessed, we just can't find a way for the words I can say. Thank you, Lord, for your touch. When we're fill us to be overflow. When we're completing us and cause us to butchered the timing, but we got the words in it. And it meant a lot to us, right? Okay, Katie.
Well, good evening, everybody. Tonight is camp testimonies with some of the kids. I was hoping a couple more of them could be here. Gavin and Jackson are not here, but Katie is and Kelsey is, and I'm here, and Miss Linda's here, so it should be a good evening. I will start, if it's all right. I'll have you guys come up, but if you have a Bible with you, go ahead and bring it because I can't get anything up on the board. So for reviewing verses, if you feel like you could use something extra to be able to do them, go ahead and come up. I've never done this before, so you're gonna just have to bear with me. I'm learning as I'm going, and we'll just do our best and see if these guys learned anything over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure they have. So for questions, let's start with, well, how about we start with Katie? And then, since you were at the first camp, and then you were at IRBC, Katie was at camp with me up south of Ottumwa. What's the name of it? I lost it. Forest Lake Camp.
Catherine comes stand beside you, so she's on camera.
I think the camera got it. They're all good. So I got a list of questions to ask you. We'll just start easy. So what was your favorite food at camp? Oh, so much good food you can't choose.
Speak a little louder, can't hear you.
Spaghetti, sausage bundles, lots of good food. That was true. Kelsey was our cook, so there was lots of good food. One of our cooks. We had good cooks. Do you have a particular favorite food, Kelsey? From Iris.
I just can't hear
I would have to say the nachos.
Maybe you guys should step over here.
them. Yeah, I
You guys
think
want
we
to step over
should.
here?
I would have to say the nachos. They
Oh,
were
my God.
pretty good. Nachos.
Maybe we'll get some sound here in a minute. A little bit better sound. All right, question number 2. What was your favorite craft over the week?
I don't remember any of them. I really cannot take a minute to rubber band.
Yeah, rubber band race.
Oh, yeah, that was.
And the iron beads, missing one. Yes, the Jesus pack, yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Probably like decorating the giant cookie.
So at camp, I had a picture, and it would work, but it didn't. But we had a cookie the size of a large pizza that each cabin got to decorate. There was several different designs. They were all Olympic themed, Olympic event themed. I think the winner of that one was the other boys' cabin, not mine, but Mr. Tim's cabin. They did a swim team. So they had lanes, and I thought that was cool.
Did you get to eat it?
Yes. Yes.
We did get to eat it.
Like a giant cake.
We had lots of leftovers too. All right. Well, I list, any decisions to share or anything like that? Not that you know of?
Why don't you have her tell us what a day was like? When did you get up? What did you do?
Sure.
Um,
You can just stand down and just talk normal. You're close enough.
There.
kind of hard to explain because we did a lot of stuff.
What time to get up?
I think at 7.
Yep.
And,
Fundraising, breakfast, activities. That's okay. That's true.
oh, you go, Jerry? Miss Linda has a schedule apparently, so first we rise and shine, and then we went to flag racing, and then had breakfast, then chapel, first time, fundamental truth and craft, and lunch, then camper game, and big game, then free time, then water balloon launch, then supper, then evening game, then chapel, and then after chapel activity, and then lunch.
So we had a full day every day, pretty much. A couple hours of free time in there that was still full of activity. Either of you guys have anything that you would like to share? Just any stories or anything funny that pops out in your mind? Something funny. What you, it doesn't, well, something you learned, something that was just funny that happened.
Well, I went to a junior high week last week, and for those heading into ninth grade, they had a certain devotional time and lessons for those heading into ninth grade, just to prepare us for high school or like give us a different sermons. But one of the devotion things was we were talking about priorities, and they had us list for the past 2 weeks. Well, I can't speak. They had us list our main priorities over the past 2 weeks, and then you had to write like how much time you spent doing that throughout the past 2 weeks. And looking over those priorities, I realized how much time I don't spend worshiping God or doing my devotions. So I learned that I just be spending more time in God's Word and more time praying.
Well, that answers my next question on the list, which was what kind of lesson or something? Do you have a lesson that you thought particularly interesting, either like devotion stuff in the evening or any of the chapels? Not really. That's okay. I can't remember super well either. It has been a couple weeks since camp, so we gotta remember that. What martial arts demonstration did you enjoy the most? Do you remember those? So Pastor Jeremy, our speaker for the week, he also does some kind of martial arts karate stuff. I don't really know what it's called. Do you remember? Taekwondo? Taekwondo? I don't know, it sounds like a word from a different language to me. Maybe it is, probably is. But he did a couple different things that were kind of cool. He lit a stack of boards, 6 boards, I think, on top of 2 cinder blocks, set the boards in the middle between them, and then sprayed lighter fluid all over them and lit them on fire, and then proceeded to chop them all in half, which, oh, that was cool. And then then after that, he did each of these, one for each day, kind of. Another one I remember was he smashed 3 bricks, and then the last one that I'm remembering is he laid on his back and set one of the cinder blocks on his chest, and then had Pastor Simeon Counterman, which you guys might be familiar with him, the pastor of Burlington Baptist, and he took a sledgehammer and smashed the brick that was sitting on Pastor Jeremy's chest. Do you have a particular favorite? Those are next.
Oh, okay.
Any of the things that he did?
I thought it was pretty cool when he moved the bricks.
Was that also the scariest one? The one that looked the least doable?
For me, I would have to say one of the scariest ones to watch was the one where he had the brick on his chest and the dude and Pastor Simeon smashed it with his sledgehammer.
Was there an object lesson to this, or was it just Taekwondo show?
I think that was more
Pretty much just demonstration.
just a demonstration after the chapel message, because it was something that you could do, I guess. It definitely held the attention of all of the campers. So do you guys remember any of the other sayings that we did? Block Satan's blows. God gives me strength. Do you remember those?
All of the last three of them.
You did them?
Do you want to demonstrate for us?
Not really.
Well, I'm not gonna do the kick one.
That's what I did.
There was a couple of them a little bit too advanced for everybody. Which one was for?
God gives me strength to
Fight
the devil.
God gives me strength to kick out.
And then he ran and jumped.
A civic sort of thing.
Kelsey can demonstrate.
God
Gives me strength to trust in Him.
And then I don't remember that.
God gives me strength to block Satan's blows.
I can't remember the last other ones.
So there was a little bit of action with different, words of truth for the kids to remember. That always helps to remember something when you can put an action to it or an emotion, something to kind of connect in your mind. So let's review. You guys remember the verses that we did? What the kind of theme that we did was 1 Corinthians 9:24-27, and that is talking about running the race to receive the prize. You guys will hear them hopefully in a second. And let's actually start with 10:31, wasn't it? 1 Corinthians 10:31. How about you guys? That one? That's the one we did in the morning. So we did this one each day, just as kind of as a reminder, but kind of the theme verse for the week. And then there was some other verses that the campers memorized throughout the week. But this is the theme verse. Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God. And then this is 1 Corinthians 9:24-27, which is these are most of the verses that they were asked to memorize throughout the week. There was a verse for that day that was worth double what any of the rest of the verses were. And so there was a little more emphasis on that particular verse. And then there was some in Timothy, but these were the primary verses that we did. So let's do these. Know ye not that they which run a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. Therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. All right, guys, do you want to do the Timothy ones? I don't remember the reference to the Timothy ones. Are they in that book? They should be in the first page. So we'll do those two. Right off there. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me on that day. And not to me only, but to all them also that love is appearing. Sorry, I probably messed you guys up on that one. You two can go ahead and sit down if you choose. I think. Oh yeah, that's right. You guys want to do the song next? That would be good. Come on. Are we all singing? You got this. Oh, an extra singer. I'll just sing quietly. Thank you, guys. So, you have some
I do have
you would
something.
like to say? You want me to go first? Or?
We have an award to give, actually.
Oh,
The way we did the contest, it was an Olympic theme, and you won medals. We started with the white medal, then it went bronze and silver and gold, and the more points you got, you worked your way up to get the gold. And I was very thankful for Jaden throughout the week. He consented to go. I don't know, but how long would you say Pastor Rogers been doing junior camp?
Forever.
I asked him, it's like 35
Forever.
yeah.
35 years. And he said in all the time he's done junior camp, this is the first time ever he can remember that there were more boys than girls. And I know when we had our counselor meeting, we had one man counselor for all of those boys. So I don't know how hard Pastor had to twist Jaden's arm to do this, but we're very thankful that he did. And we decided that Jaden earned a gold medal for the week. So that's the counselor award.
Cool.
Is it chocolate?
That's pure gold. Well, thank you. I was not expecting that. I had no idea. So I suppose I can tell you a little bit of my perspective of camp for the week. I have never counseled before at a camp, and well, to kind of answer that question, the other day, well, it's been a few days, but I don't know, a week before camp or something, I had realized that where God had brought Kylie and I so far, I knew there was camp coming up, and I didn't have anything that I had to do that week. So I just happened to be in a vehicle with Pastor Chad, and I said, hey, so you got everybody for camp next week? And he's like, oh, actually, we could really use another guy counselor. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't have anything going on. I'll try it. So that worked out really well to just the timing for that. I think God really set that up to work, and it did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the week. It was different. I wasn't expecting a lot of it, but I also grew up in a house full of brothers, younger brothers, so I knew going into it how junior high boys can be just rowdy. But we had a good week, I think. There was actually 4 boys, I think 4, right? 4 boys that made a confession of faith during that week, which that was pretty awesome to see because, well, I personally got to see 2 or 3 of them, and I had never had that opportunity before. I've had opportunity to talk with people and stuff, but I had never had the opportunity to really sit and talk through, and they were willing to listen, and their hearts were open, and I believe that there was 4 boys that were saved. I mean, we have the rest of their life to watch and see how that works, but they did make a confession of faith, and I was excited about that, along with a lot of other counselors and fellow Christian campers. So that was really cool. So throughout the week, I somehow ended up being the guy that has no experience. They threw the extra kids with me because there were some that just happened to show up that somebody didn't know about. So we actually had room for 10 campers and a counselor in each room. So, but somehow there ended up being 11 guys in my room. So we had a guy on the floor, it was all right. It was all good. But I would say I kind of ended up with the rowdy group of boys, which again, it was a learning curve for me, and it was I don't know, I had a good week. I was probably a little bit more lenient on some things than I should have been. Just because sometimes with young kids that if you let them start getting away with stuff, they just tend to think they don't ever have to do what they're supposed to do. So there was a little bit there, and we had some boys that, I had some guys that really had some trouble listening, particularly in the evening when it was lights out and time to be quiet. And so I finally told them, all right, guys, I mean, you've been talking for the last 5 minutes after I told you twice, which was plenty of warning that they needed to be quiet, and it didn't happen, so I was able to go ahead. I said, hey guys, so this is what happened. We're gonna spend 5 minutes in our cabin on free time, which, I mean, in the broad spectrum of things, that's 5 minutes. It's not real long. But I was really impressed with how they took that, actually. The next day, they had all managed to forget. Somehow I didn't remember right off the bat either. So some of them were down swimming and other ones were playing paintball. And then I remembered, and I was like, well, I guess I gotta go get them because that's what I said I was gonna do. So I went and got them, and that actually gave me an opportunity to sit down and go through a little bit of Romans 13, where it just kind of talks about obeying authority. And there was a couple boys that were just like, whatever, and just let's get it over with so we can leave. But there was a couple of them that really took it well. There was one boy in particular that he was kind of frustrated at me for that, but I think that particular kid didn't really have he didn't come from a home that had discipline. So that was probably something new to him. And he was really frustrated at me, but then actually by later that night, he wrote me a letter and gave it to me, and I thought that was pretty cool, and asked me if I would forgive him for how he was acting. And I thought that was really cool. And he is also one of them that got saved this past week, or made a confession of faith. I'll refer to it that way if I can. But throughout the week, there was, in my opinion, and in my specific cabin, I can't speak for everybody's cabin, there was a definite change in attitude throughout the week with the boys, and just being able to see that was encouraging to me. There was, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Sorry, Katie. Can't remember what it was. There was a couple of times, I had it in my head a minute ago, one of them I was going to share, but that they really, just the young boys came up to me and was like talking about stuff, and I was like, wow, I just didn't really think about that before. And that's kind of an issue in my own life where I can't remember what it was. Anyway, that is kind of how my week looked. I had a lot of fun, and I thought it went well.
What was your favorite food?
My favorite food? Let me think. I probably liked the cinnamon rolls we had one morning. That's probably my favorite food. I have a little bit of a sweet tooth sometimes. Is there any other questions from you guys that you would have for me or any of the rest of the campers or Miss Linda, counselor?
Did you have a campfire where you bang around?
So we actually,
Yeah, what do we call it? Bond. Just a bond. Yeah, just a bond. We didn't have a fire.
No fire.
Just a bond.
I actually didn't know. So
Just a bonfire, just a bond.
during that last night of camp, I actually had a chance to talk to Gavin, and as some of you guys probably know Gavin, and we talked and just really got to talking about things in the Bible and this and that, and I took him through the Romans Road that night, so I actually missed out on the bond, but not fire.
We tried fire, fire just didn't work.
Apparently the fire didn't work very well that evening. I didn't know. I assumed there was a great big fire going on down there. Apparently there wasn't. This is news to me. Any other questions?
Did you get to kiss the crocodile?
We were given the choice to kiss an alligator skull or to confess our love for it. So I actually took option B and said that I loved the alligator. And there were several of them that got a chance to kiss the alligator. If you guys didn't know, that kind of comes about by how many letters they get in the mail while they're at camp, or packages or whatever, that way.
If I'm allowed to add, some genius, I don't know who it was, sent 3 letters addressed to the whole camp. And so every single person, I mean, I was there the day they kissed it, but every single person was supposed to.
Yeah, there was.
If you had the picture working, your phone, my dad like has his head in its skull. I don't know if he had to kiss it or.
Yes, I have pictures on my phone. Unfortunately, I could not figure out how to get them onto the projector. That's just the way it is, I guess, this time. Maybe next time I'll figure it out. I don't know.
So there will be a next time.
Whoops. There possibly will be a next time. I have no idea. Maybe next time won't be with me though. I think I got out of that. But what time are we usually done in the evening?
When you're done.
So, well, I think that's pretty well what we have, unless there's any other questions.
How many attended?
How many attended camp? There was 20 boys and
18, I think it was about 38.
about 18 girls, so around 30 to 38-ish, plus or minus 1, right in there. Yeah, so there was a good amount of kids, and it wasn't so many that we weren't able to get a little bit of one-on-one time. It was good. Yeah. Any other questions?
What was Katie's favorite activity?
What did you do on free time?
Yeah, free time.
I swam.
Okay.
Swimming.
Camp for week, what's your favorite week? What was your favorite week? What is your favorite part of the week?
Katie was asked what her favorite activity was. Maybe swimming.
All
All of it. Camp was awesome. All of camp was awesome. All the activities.
I think we should give Katie a journal to keep next.
We think Katie gets a journal next year.
I want to know what Kelly's
Jerry's setting that up.
activity at the IRC was.
Yeah.
Like, give us a little bit of your week.
What activity?
I have a list here. I got my schedule. So every morning at 7 o'clock was when we woke up. 7:50. Oh, that's not necessary, but coffee shop opened at 7:15. We had breakfast at 8:15, and then we had a morning session. Then we had cabin and counselor time, which is when the cabin did their devotions and memorized their verses. At 10:45, there was an activity, and then we had lunch.
then team competitions. So there were about 450 campers there last week, which was the most they had seen in about, actually not years, but several years.
Closer.
Yeah. So they divided the 450 people up into two groups. We had the lifeguards and the surfers. Then each individual group was divided up into 4 sections. So I was on the lifeguard team, and I was also a part of the Wave Watchers. And so we would take our time and go do a team competition, games, and then we had free time until 5:30, which was when supper was. Then we had tournaments, and then evening service, and then we had night time. I don't know. I enjoyed a lot of the games we played. There was one where we had dodgeball, like a slip and slide dodgeball game. They had a bunch of parks laid out, soap and water, and we had to play a game of dodgeball, slide all over the place, go the wall across. It was pretty fun. But I would have to say one of my favorite crafts was tie-dye. I got to tie-dye a shirt. It was pretty awesome.
Okay, so Kelsey's favorite game was a slip and slide combined with dodgeball, it sounds like. And her favorite craft was a tie-dye shirt. Gotta make a tie-dye shirt, so that's kind of cool.
Should have brought it so we could see.
So if there isn't any more questions, how about we split up for a couple minutes of prayer, just as small groups like we usually do, if that's fine with you guys, and then we'll be dismissed.
That's Wednesday night. This is Saturday.
My bad. This in the evening.
When you can't pray on Saturday.
No, I pray.
Apparently, we can't pray in our small groups on Sunday night. So I'm going to ask y'all to pray silently, and I'll lead us in prayer to dismiss. Dear Lord, I just thank you for the week of camp, or the 2 weeks of camp actually, with the camp by Tumwa and by Clear Lake, both of them. Lord, I just pray that you would work, continue to work in these young kids' lives. Lord, it's a particularly vulnerable age for them. Lord, I just pray that you would protect them, that you would be with them, and help them through their life, and help them to have other Christian friends, and be able to find good churches and all those things like that. Lord, I just pray that you will guide and direct in each of their lives. Lord, I thank you for everything that you do. I thank you for this evening, for the testimonies that were spoken of tonight. And just thank you for everything that you do. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Yeah.